Hey, Miss Henry's class, it's Miss Ellis. Miss Henry asked me if I would read you guys a story that you can listen to while you're at home during the day right now, and I told her I would love to read you guys a story. I hope that everybody's staying safe at home, and here we go. I decided to read a book called In My Garden. It was written by Charlotte Zolotow and illustrated by Philip Stead. I'm going to go slowly so that you can look at the pictures too, because they're really pretty pictures in here. In the spring, what I love best in my garden are the birds building nests. Of course, there are other things I love in my garden. Red tulips like a patch of fire under the pear tree, violets and hyacinths and daffodils. But in the spring, what I love best in my garden are the birds building nests. I see a lot of birds building nests in her picture. In the spring, what I love most to do is fly kites. Of course, there are other things I love to do. Play dolls and roller skate and skip rope. But what I love most to do in the spring is fly kites high over the garden wall. In the summer, what I love best in my garden are roses. Can you guys find the roses in the story on the page? Of course, there are other flowers I love too. Marigolds and daisies and Canterbury bells. But in the summer, what I love best in my garden are roses. Red ones and yellow and white. See if you can find the red roses, the yellow roses, and the white roses on the page. In the summer, what I love most to do is have lunch under the pear tree. Of course, there are other things I love in the summer. Listening to the birds singing in the trees, lying in the tall grass, watching the butterflies, and swimming in the cool stream. But in the summer, what I love most to do is have lunch under the pear tree. In the fall, what I love best in my garden are chrysanthemums. Wow, chrysanthemums are another pretty flower on the page. Of course, there are other things I love in my garden. The tree turning red and golden brown, the wild wind blowing, and the squirrels gathering nuts. But what I love best are the chrysanthemums, tangled and shaggy and smelling like spice. In the fall, what I love most to do is rake leaves. Of course, there are other things I like to do in the fall. Buy new sweaters and skirts and pencil boxes for school and pick the ripe golden pears from my tree. But what I love most to do in the fall is rake leaves and jump in the big, crackly golden piles of them. Have you ever helped rake leaves at your house? I used to help my mom rake leaves when I was little. In winter, what I love best in my garden is snow. Little bumps and humps sparkling everywhere you look. Of course, there are other things I love in the winter time. the purple sunsets, and the moon rising early in the pine trees with its branches heavy and white. But in the winter, what I love best in my garden is the snow, clean and white and still. What do y'all think she's about to do? I think she's probably going to sled down that hill. What do you think? In the winter, what I love most to do is ice skate on the pond. Of course, there are other things I love to do in the winter. Make snow angels, coast on my sled, and watch the black shadow of the pear tree in the snow. But what I love most to do in winter is skate on the frozen pond. And feel the whiteness and wind and winter all around. Alright guys, that was my story for y'all. I hope that you enjoyed it. Make sure that you're reading plenty of stories and that you are doing your best during this time. I love you guys and I hope you stay safe.